Have you ever looked in the mirror and not recognized the person staring back at you? Those lines that weren't there before, the silver streaks replacing what was once vibrant color, hands that sometimes ache when you pick up your grandchild. I see you, and I want you to know something important today. My name is Dr. Jessica Lee, and after spending over 25 years working with thousands of adults in their golden years, I've discovered something truly remarkable, something that society doesn't tell you, something that might just change how you see yourself from this moment forward. You've probably heard all the negative talk. At your age, you should expect to slow down. That's just part of getting older. You can't do what you used to do. But what if I told you that much of what we accept as normal aging isn't normal at all? What if I told you that the most vibrant, youthful people I've ever met weren't in their 20s or 30s, but in their 70s and 80s? It's true. And today I'm going to share with you the 8 extraordinary things that separate the rare gems from everyone else. The 8 markers that if you can still do them in your 70s and 80s, prove you're not just surviving your golden years, you're absolutely thriving in ways most people never will, regardless of their age. But first, let me tell you about Margaret. Margaret came to see me when she was 78 years old. She arrived at my office, hunched over, using a walker, convinced her best days were behind her. "This is just what happens when you get old," she said with resignation in her voice. Her children had been doing everything for her shopping, her cleaning, even arranging her medications. They meant well, but they were treating her like she was fragile. Margaret believed what most people believe, that decline is inevitable and that dependence is the natural outcome of aging. But here's what most people don't realize. For every Margaret who believes decline is inevitable, there's a William who at 82 still drives his convertible to his weekly dance class. There's a Sophia who at 76 just started learning Japanese because her granddaughter is studying abroad. There's a Robert who at 79 walks 5 miles every morning before most people are even awake. The secret? These rare gems haven't just been lucky. They haven't discovered some miracle fountain of youth. What they've done is maintain 8 critical capacities that most people surrender far too easily, often decades too early. And here's the real tragedy. Most people give these up not because they can't maintain them, but because they believe they shouldn't even try. So let's talk about these 8 remarkable abilities. As I describe each one, I want you to take mental note of how many you still possess. And remember, if you have even just a few of these, you are extraordinary. But if you have all 8, my friend, you are truly one of life's rarest gems. Number 1, mental flexibility. This isn't just about doing crossword puzzles or Sudoku, though those are wonderful. Mental flexibility is about your willingness to consider new ideas, to change long-held opinions when presented with new evidence, and to adapt to changing times. I once had a patient named Harold, a retired engineer. At 75, he told me proudly that he'd never touched a computer and never would. Too old to learn that nonsense, he insisted. 6 months later, Harold's granddaughter moved across the country. Desperate to see her face, Harold reluctantly agreed to try video calling. Today, at 84, Harold not only video chats with his family daily, but he's also part of an online chess club with members from around the world. The gym quality seniors I've worked with aren't stuck in their ways. They say things like, "Well, I never thought of it that way before," or "Maybe I was wrong about that." They're curious about the changing world rather than resentful of it. Think about it. How often in the past month have you changed your mind about something? Have you tried something new, even if it made you uncomfortable at first? If so, you possess one of the rarest qualities of exceptional aging, a mind that bends without breaking. Number 2, physical resilience. Now, I'm not talking about running marathons or lifting heavy weights, though I do know 70-somethings who do both. Physical resilience isn't about extraordinary feats, it's about recovery. When you fall, do you get back up? When you have a setback in your health, do you work toward improvement or do you surrender to decline? Do you move your body purposefully every single day, even when it would be easier not to? Doris, one of my favorite patients of all time, broke her hip at 79. Many people would see this as the beginning of the end, but not Doris. Despite everyone telling her she'd never walk normally again, she worked tirelessly with her physical therapist. She started with 1 step, then 10, then 100. 15 months later, Doris walked a 5K with her daughter and granddaughter. Not because she's superhuman, but because she refused to accept limitations that weren't truly necessary. The most physically resilient seniors I know have one thing in common. They never stop moving forward. They might move more slowly sometimes, but forward is still forward. Number 3, emotional independence. This one might surprise you. We often think the problem with aging is becoming too independent, too isolated. But I've observed something different. The truly exceptional agers aren't emotionally dependent on others for their sense of worth or happiness. They love their families deeply, they cherish their friendships, but they don't outsource their emotional well-being to others. They don't need constant reassurance or attention. They've developed an inner emotional sanctuary that remains stable even when relationships change. Thomas lost his wife of 52 years when he was 77. The grief was immense, as you can imagine, but Thomas had cultivated interests, friendships, and purpose beyond his marriage. While he misses his wife every day, he didn't lose his will to live when she passed. 2 years later, Thomas leads a grief support group, helping others navigate the journey he understands so intimately. If you can love deeply without clinging, if you can find joy even in solitude, if your emotional well-being isn't entirely dependent on others, you possess a rare and precious quality that will serve you beautifully in these golden years. Number 4, purposeful living. The question, why do you get out of bed in the morning, is perhaps the most important health question I never learned in medical school. Every exceptional senior I've ever met has a compelling answer to this question. They have purpose, something that pulls them forward into each new day with anticipation rather than dread. For some, it's creative pursuits. Elena at 81 spends her mornings painting landscapes that sell in a local gallery. For others, it's service. James at 76 delivers meals to the elderly, most of whom are younger than he is. For still others, it's learning and growth. Beatrice at 84 is working on her second master's degree. What gets you out of bed? What makes tomorrow worth reaching? If you have a clear answer, if purpose pulls you forward, you possess something more valuable than any medication I could prescribe. Number 5, adaptive independence. Independence in your 70S and 80S doesn't look like independence in your 40S or 50S. The exceptional agers I know aren't trying to do everything themselves exactly as they always have. Instead, they practice what I call adaptive independence. They modify how they do things. They use tools and technology to extend their capabilities. They accept help for tasks that might be risky or extremely difficult, which frees them to maintain independence in the areas that matter most to them. Robert, age 82, loved gardening but couldn't kneel anymore due to knee replacements. Instead of giving up his passion, he redesigned his entire garden with raised beds that he could tend while standing or sitting on a special stool. He uses lightweight, ergonomic tools, and yes, his neighbor's teenage son helps with the heavy lifting twice a month. But Robert is still the gardener, the decision maker, the planner, the tender of his beloved plant. If you've found creative ways to maintain your independence, even as your body has changed, if you can accept help without surrendering control, you demonstrate a wisdom that many never achieve at any age. Number 6, social courage. As we age, it becomes increasingly easy to shrink our social worlds. Friends move away or pass on, family members have busy lives. Mobility challenges can make getting out more difficult. The path of least resistance is social contraction. But the exceptional agers I know possess what I call social courage. They continue to nurture existing relationships, but they also form new ones. They reach out, they invite, they join, they show up. Elaine at 77 joined a community choir despite not having sung since high school. I was terrified, she told me. I was sure everyone would wonder what this old lady was doing there. 2 years later, Elaine has made a dozen new friends ranging in age from 19 to 85. We don't just sing together, she says. We're part of each other's lives now. If you've made a new friend in the past year, if you've joined a new group or community, if you've reached out when it would have been easier to withdraw, you possess a social courage that is increasingly rare and incredibly valuable. Number 7, gratitude resilience. We all face losses as we age. It's an unavoidable reality. Bodies change, loved ones pass away, roles shift. The exceptional agers I know aren't immune to these losses or the grief that accompanies them, but they possess what I call gratitude resilience, the ability to acknowledge loss while still recognizing abundance. They don't dismiss or minimize their struggles, but neither do they allow difficulties to blind them to the good that remains. Walter, at 81, lost much of his vision to macular degeneration. I miss reading physical books, he told me. I miss seeing the details of my grandchildren's faces. I'm not going to pretend that doesn't hurt. But in the same conversation, Walter expressed profound gratitude for audiobooks. I'm reading more than ever, and for the distinctive sound of each grandchild's voice. I can hear the smile in Jesse's words. If you can acknowledge your losses without being defined by them, if you can still count blessings even on difficult days, you possess a form of emotional wealth that no physical limitation can diminish. Number 8, future orientation. This final quality might be the most surprising of all. The most exceptional agers I know aren't focused solely on the past. They don't spend all their time reminiscing about the good old days. Instead, they maintain what I call future orientation. They plant trees they'll never sit under. They make plans for next year and the year after. They remain interested in how the story unfolds, not just their own story, but the larger human story. Claire, at 86, recently wrote to her senator about climate policy. When I asked her why she was so concerned about an issue with such long-term implications, she looked at me with surprise. Because I have great-grandchildren, she said simply, and they'll have great-grandchildren someday too. Just because I won't see it doesn't mean it doesn't. If you still make plans, if you're still interested in tomorrow's news, if you plant metaphorical or literal seeds for future harvests, you possess a forward-thinking spirit that defies every stereotype about aging. Music shifts to something more reflective. Now, let me ask you something important. How many of these 8 qualities do you possess? 1, 3, all 8? Whatever your answer, I want you to know something. These qualities aren't fixed. They're not something you either have or don't have. They're practices, habits of mind and body that can be developed and strengthened at any age. I've seen people in their 90s develop new social courage. I've watched people with serious health conditions cultivate physical resilience. I've helped people who felt their life was over discover new purpose. And here's what I need you to understand, truly understand down to your bones. Your age is not what defines you. What defines you are the choices you make every single day. Society may tell you that exceptional aging is about luck or genes, and yes, those factors play a role, but the research is abundantly clear. These 8 qualities I've described are largely within your control. They're about how you think, how you respond, how you engage with your life and with others. You are not too old. It is not too late. You have not missed your chance. Every single day, you can strengthen these qualities. Every single day, you can become more of a rare gem, not despite your age, but because of the wisdom your years have given you. Remember Margaret, the woman who came to me at 78, convinced her best days were behind her? 2 years later, Margaret lives independently. She takes a Tai Chi class twice weekly. She volunteers at her local library, helping children learn to read. She's planning a trip to the Grand Canyon next spring, something she's wanted to see her entire life. Margaret didn't change her age or her medical conditions. She changed her mind. She changed her habits. She changed her expectations. And here's the most beautiful part of all. When Margaret came back to see me last month, she wasn't alone. She brought her friend Helen, who's 75 and believed she was just getting old. Margaret looked at me with a spark in her eye and said, "I told Helen that's nonsense. I told her to come see you. I told her we're just getting started." My friends, that's what I want for each of you. I want you to recognize the extraordinary potential that still lies within you. I want you to nurture these 8 qualities every single day. And most of all, I want you to become a beacon for others, to show by example that aging can be a time of growth, purpose, joy, and meaning. Because the truth is, we need you. We need your wisdom, your perspective, your resilience, your courage. We need you to show the way forward. So here's my invitation to you. In the comments below, tell me which of these 8 qualities you're strongest in and which one you'd like to develop further. Share your story, because when we share our journeys, we light the path for others. If you found value in this message, please give it a thumbs up and consider sharing it with someone who might need to hear it. And if you haven't already, subscribe to our channel for more content designed to help you thrive in your golden years. Remember, if you're 70 to 80 years old and possess even a few of these 8 qualities, you are extraordinary. And if you're working on developing more of them, you're not just a rare gem, you're a treasure beyond measure. This is Dr. Jessica Lee reminding you that the best chapter of your story might be the one you're writing right now.